5:30. Is there?
Yeah,
It's
on
up to
average,
you.
they do about 4:30.
Well, 5:30.
Showtime.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that their salary, or is that what?
That's their salary, that's the originator salary.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, well, I want to welcome
process
everybody
is
to our
200
special
people.
session meeting for the Historic District Board of Review. Brooke, you want to do roll call?
Josh Wilbur,
Here.
Jerome Vernon,
Here.
Thomas Stark,
Here.
Owen McCall,
Here.
Jerry Wade,
Here.
Kim McWilliams, and Mike Pittman.
Here. Okay, we just have one item on our agenda this evening from our last meeting. We said that we'd have a special session to try to get this one done in the meantime. So this is for the address of 713, 715 West Main Street. So you want to come up and state your name and address?
Steve Buchanan, Milton, Kentucky. Since I was here the last time, we've gotten we turned in a few drawings that some of the people that came and looked at, and maybe where we can make a compromise to this property. Like I say, there's been a lot of confusion, and like I said, the last thing I want is for you guys to think that I just went down there and did something on my own without asking. You know, I talked to the prior building inspector about the problems that I seen once we had been here and got it okay. You know, and like I say, basically had a verbal to go ahead and move the wall to the outside wall. My mistake, I should have got something in writing or come back and got a little more assured that that was it. I didn't realize he was leaving. Now I can't seem to get this ironed out. But hopefully, like I say, we can all come to some meeting here with this.
Do we have the drawings that you're proposing here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so you want to go through those with us?
Do you want me to go ahead and introduce the project again, or just skip to the picture slides?
Is it necessary, Nicole, to introduce the project again? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the the designs that are here that you.
So this was the original proposed in July, and these next several slides are the ones that, the new proposals. If I'm going too fast, y'all please let me know. And those are the three.
Now, Steve, are all those proposed plans things that you are willing to compromise on?
I've drawn three. This drawing, to me, you know, doesn't look, I mean, for it to be the front of the house, it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to me, with a chimney sticking out of the lower level roof and going all the way up to the second story, past the second story roof. The chimney that's there now, you know, will have to be tore down and relaid, because what was underneath the roof originally was never meant to be exposed. It's all janky brick and pieces put in and this and that that's been cut for flashing. So I mean, to make it look right, you'd almost have to tear it all the way down below the first level and come back up again. That'd be the third time I've laid it.
Okay.
The first two are what we're willing to do.
So it's proposed plans 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's either bring, and I've looked at a lot of houses down there, it's either bring the whole roof line all the way to the front porch and go up, or bring the lower level up to meet what the upper part is, which is 312.
So the one where the chimney's set back, that's the plan that's the modification that you favor?
Is that Plan 4, Brooke?
Yeah, Plan 4 was chimney exposed.
Yeah.
That one? Yeah,
That's one you don't favor.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's gonna look, I mean, the chimney's, you know, like 2 foot wide. I just think I've not seen another house down here that looks like that from the front of the street.
Can we look at the original elevation?
I mean, like I said, I'm keeping this property, and I've invested a lot of money in this property already, and I want it to look nice.
There we go. Oh, back. Oh, there you go.
There's the original.
Actually, looks to me like it's kind of squeezed in a little bit compared to what I went by and looked at the property again today. It looks like it's a little narrower than it actually is,
It
that,
is,
that
yeah.
image.
Yeah, for some reason it does look small, because the roof was about 30, I don't know if it's the angle of that picture. Because the dormer part that's on the upper is about 30 some
It's
inches
not a
from the edge of the wall.
40-foot wide structure.
Yes. Yes, for some reason that does look narrow.
That picture looks compressed side to side.
It is
to me.
compressed.
You got another image of that? I think you passed it up, you went by it pretty,
Well,
oh, there you go, right there,
Yeah,
okay.
this is what it
Yeah.
is currently.
Yeah, that's what it is currently.
Yeah, and there again, if we raise the front dormer or eyebrow or whatever we want to call that, you know, if we raised it up to meet that, I mean, I would be willing to put the Cornish work back on the upper part, raise it up, you know, to keep the look that it has, put the little window back in that as well. But there again, we're trying to get egress windows in it to meet code, and there's a lot of hurdles.
And maybe the options again, the design options. Here we go.
I thought that there were 3, not 4.
There is 3.
There are 3. The reason why I had 4 is because we still had the original proposed plan
Well,
from
that's 1.
July.
Yes.
So that would be 1.
Oh, okay, I got it.
And then the subsequent, I apologize for the confusion, but
Yeah.
that's how I know.
And
Yeah, I
number
said 3.
3,
Mhm.
number 3 retains the original, there you go.
Yes. So 3 is basically taking that second one and putting the roof out to match the upper. And then putting that little window, it looks like back in or
Mhm.
something,
I mean, it would just
yeah. And
be
a couple of,
stored.
So, are you going to, pull all the old siding off the lower portion of the house and replace it all to?
Yeah, it all gets new hardy. It's all
So it's
getting,
all gonna be hardy?
all be hardy siding, it's all aluminum wood clad windows going in.
Aluminum clad windows all the
Yes,
way
sir.
around, okay?
Yeah.
Or at least in the visible areas,
No, we've got them for the whole house.
all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my problem. When we started this, I already had the windows for when it was originally. And so now I've got those windows to try to incorporate back into this house. You know, we never planned on it being this. All this started out over a few broken rafters, a year ago, is where this started, for me to try to make it better.
Doesn't really have anything to do with the historic aspect of it, but you plan on re-landscaping and doing
Oh,
putting a
yeah.
fence in front, making it,
Yeah, it'll be nice when it's done. Yes. Yeah, I mean, we've laid stone on the back to try to make it look, keep it old.
so the original front gable area has got this nice, it's pretty well worn out, but it's got that that kind of shape to it.
It's called Marchboard.
Is that what it's called?
Marchboard, yeah.
Yeah. Were you planning on any like decorative elements to?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's not on this drawing, that's the particular drawing. If we raised it up to make it kind of match, either way, we can take the Cornish work that's existing now and duplicate it right on another one, and make it longer. It would obviously be short.
And you would do that on the lower section, but not on the upper section. You'll keep that straight
Yes.
and just,
Mhm.
I see.
So in essence, you'd have the Cornish on the porch and then that one front.
I don't,
Is the porch have it now?
no, I don't think the porch
Okay,
has it. I
sorry,
think it's just on,
just that one.
I think it's just on the
Okay.
upper eyebrow. or-
Sorry,
And I
whatever's
noticed on the
there.
front porch, there's the moldings around the windows and the doors. That's pretty intricate.
The
nice.
front now,
You're gonna
the front I didn't
preserve
ask
that?
to change the windows or the doors. We're keeping the front exactly the way it is.
Okay.
The
Just-
windows and the doors will stay the same on the front of the house.
Mhm.
We're just replacing that aluminum siding with hardy on the front. The rest of the house will get new windows.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that. I forgot we're keeping the 2 big windows in the front.
And you're gonna redo that chimney to, I mean, it's pretty beat up right now. It looks to me like it's about ready to fall over.
Yeah, it's not, we got stopped in the middle of trying to figure out what we're doing here.
Can you explain? I was confused when you said you had, if I heard right, you said you had rebuilt this chimney already 3 times.
That would be the third time if we leave it, if we went
Twice
back
so
down.
far.
Yeah.
Why?
I rebuilt it the first time when I was just gonna replace the roof because it was in such bad shape about a year ago, because I thought I was gonna roof it. So I went down there and had a mason go down there and fix it. I wanted a natural, it was rotted as could be, the 2 pieces, it's, I'm not sure, the thimbles, I guess, it's sticking out the top of decorative thimbles. So that the brick was so bad, we went ahead and replaced all the brick, laid it all back up. So then I go down to roof it and realize that the bottom, the side that we're added onto actually, the rafters are broke. They were just cribbed in there with 1-bys trying to hold the roof up. Had 4 or 5 layers of shingles on it. So that's when we decided, well, we'll go before you all, get a permit to make it look identical for the other side. That's when all the problems actually began. So I'd already redid it once. Then when we raised it up, it was short. So we added onto it to bring the thimbles back out the top of the roof. And that's where we're at right now. So if I tore it down, what I meant by that is if we did the other, I would have to tear it all the way down, way below where it's ever been, and relay it back up.
You say you would have to do that?
I would have to. Yeah, because if you go in there now, if you left that chimney exposed on the front, it's been cut for the flashing of the roof. The brick that was underneath the old roof, those bricks was never made to be seen. It's pieces and bits stuck in. And it's not finished for it to be outside for the weather. I mean, it's open bricks.
But how can that be?
Because it was
you're
in the
not
wall.
talking about taking the height of the roof lower, you're talking about making it higher. So if
Yeah, because the
original roof was low-
chimney that was sticking out originally, if you go back to that other drawing,
This one, or which one are you
the
wanting?
first one, the original part if you can.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. That one?
Yeah, so there's where it originally started. From there up, this is an old picture, I've already relayed it once, okay? So if you tear that chimney down, from where that peak is now, that brick on the 3rd, 4th rendering we got here, that's gonna be seen. From the peak down will be it sticking out to the street, you'll see that. It's like 13 feet of chimney gonna be exposed from the front of the roof.
Because we're gonna get.
Now, if you go back to the other one, it'll maybe,
Are there fireplaces in the house, or is it just?
there is in that one. Yeah, in that one, there is.
On both sides?
If you look
I
at
see.
this, yeah.
No, I think it's
I understand.
yes, it is. Yeah, it does. It goes to both sides. One of the chimneys, yeah, it does.
So
It goes
it's
to both
functional.
sides. That's why it's got a dual liner at the top. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, now I understand.
Yeah, if you, like I say, if you go back to the other picture that shows the whole chimney sticking out of the first level, you'll kinda,
I think it was the plan for.
yeah. So originally, about right here is where, I'm just using this example, right here is where the roof used to be. So all this brick that's underneath there, whoever laid the chimney said they'll never be seen. They put bits and pieces in to get it up there, it's just never gonna be seen.
Bro, it's probably
So
the
now,
same.
now we would be back underneath here, way down underneath here, 2 or 3 more feet. I'd have to start and take it all the way down, relay it back up if you did this.
Right, so, but then another option that would prevent you having to do that would be to have this front section have the original slope, not this low slope. Have it just like it was, a year ago, where all the part of the chimney that was meant to be covered will be covered.
Well, I mean, the chimney can't come out, that roof is lower.
You have to rebuild the entire chimney.
Yeah, we'd have to
around that.
put the building back like it was to do that. I mean, we've
Well,
already,
front
Just-
part,
just the
put it
front
back
part,
like it
right?
was.
The front part.
I'm a little.
The
Was
front
the,
part
the
back
pitch,
like it
the
was,
original
and then
pitch,
go
wasn't
in.
it 312?
No, the original pitch that was on the dormer side was 1.5 to it was flat almost.
No, I'm in the front of the building, the original pitch
Oh,
of the house. I believe it was 312, or at least that's
No,
what.
that's what I raised it to, was 312. The upper
Okay.
part's raised to a 312. The lower portion is it's like a 5.5 to a pitch.
So, Owen, I think what you're saying or suggesting is that if he raised up the front part of that to the original pitch of the house, that might solve the problem of the
Yes.
brick?
And that's kind of basically what I'm asking here. The only difference, I guess, in what I'm asking is the lower portion is there now is a 5.5 12. I think it would look aesthetically pleasing is if we raise the sides up to make it match the top, as far as pitch to pitch. I mean, that's the way it should be. One porch is added on, or a building's added together, you know, usually you try to follow what's either under you or above you.
But then we've just taken the contributing structure and we've just made it non-contributing. We've just destroyed the historicity of what was there.
Well, we didn't have much to start
Is
with.
are you saying the chimney is the most historical feature? Is that what you're trying to?
No, I'm just saying that if, every time you change something, you're deviating away from the historic building. And so what I'm saying is if you just keep the front the way it was, I guess now it would be rebuild it to mirror what it had been. And then
So what do you want me to change there? I mean, can you explain it? I'm
to
having a
make
hard
the
time.
front part have the original pitch.
Can you go to plan 3 just for a second?
Yeah,
So you want the front, well, yeah, to have the original, so let's just take that one for a second. And you squeeze that one end, the second level there, in to have the pitch of the roof that it was before, is what he's saying.
Before construction began, yeah.
Right?
Be almost flat.
And then.
No, it wasn't flat, it was, the original pitch was
But
steep.
But I would, but
Pretty steep.
Well, the previous plan, that is,
You're leaning,
You go back to one.
excuse me, Steve, you're leaning towards the plan 3 as shown here. Am I?
that's what.
I think so, yes.
I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna vote on here. Okay?
Yeah,
We've got all
I'm
these
not,
different plans.
the chimney, I think will be from the street, I think it'll look awful with
That
the big
looks
chimney
terrible.
sticking out of
That
it.
one actually,
I think that's aesthetically
And
pleasing.
then, so you're talking about
That,
replacing?
that is not, to me.
I get it.
so this.
You know, that
side here-
chimney, if you look at it from the street down there, that chimney's gonna be sticking out of that front roof 13 feet.
But see, it's still,
It doesn't make sense because it doesn't look like the original to me.
right,
That does not.
right.
Can you
But go to
go back
3.
to the original house before construction so we can see the pitch?
Sure.
That,
There you go.
Well, that's compressed though. Go to the next one.
yeah, it's hard to tell there,
There,
There you
now
go.
that looks legit.
But the problem is, this part right here, and when it was before, the roof stopped here, it went up, it was flatter than this, it went more flat, this side was up here somewhere. I mean, I don't remember what pitch this was, it might have been, it could have been a 5.5, 12 on this side, it went straight up to that chimney, like this. This side went flat.
Well, one side had a dormer, the other didn't.
Exactly. And all we wanted to put is back like it, make it uniform, is all we was out here to do to start with. That's all we ever
And
wanted to
that's what was
do.
approved, but that's not what happened.
I can't help out what somebody else built. That's the problem. I can't help what someone else done. I mean, to structurally build it that way, doesn't make any sense for me to put money in this property to do that.
So now, with design 3 that you're leaning towards, so that, what you're saying is you're gonna push that roof back another, the top story, you're gonna push it back, what, another 8 feet or so, 9 feet?
With design 3? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No?
Look,
You're not gonna push it, go back.
pull up plan 3 again, yes, sorry.
Yeah, one was make it flush with what it is now. The other one is take that roof back.
So plan 3
Right
is
there.
that.
There you go.
Yeah. And all that is we're encapsulating the chimney in the second story so you don't look at it. That roof, I don't know exactly, but that upper roof will become 7 feet of flat. It'll be a 312 pitch. We'll put the cornice work back on that lower level to make it mimic what it was before. It's the only thing changed is the roof pitch.
But in this picture, the front of the building, that's a completely new wall and completely new roof. That's not the original roof line or pitch line of that house. So you've got the porch, and I'm talking about the second
Step?
phase there, or step up, yeah.
No, we would be changing it.
The second step up, that peak that you're seeing on that second step up,
Mhm.
that is the original location of the peak. The only thing he has done is brought the pitch.
So that it matches with what he's
Yes.
put on top.
Yeah, the other day when we was here, you said the sides was too big, it was way too tall. The reason it looks a little too tall, in my opinion, is because we got a 5.5, 12 pitch, eyebrow now that it makes the sidewalls look too tall. If we lifted the bottom up, you know, and got it back to 312 to match the top, half the side of that upper portion would be gone. You know, and the only thing like I said, we're running it back in to the other roof. We're cutting the rafters off, it's already up there. And making this roof run back into the other roof like the picture shows, except the chimney's not exposed.
Steve, let me ask you a hypothetical. Go back to when they put that dormer on, because that dormer was not original to the house, I'm sure. It was added on. Do you think they changed the roof pitch at the time on the front to bring that in, or
No, I'd say somebody cut that in there.
just cut it in?
That's my guess now, after seeing what they've done. I mean, it's just,
It wasn't a very good job.
no. Well, that's the other problem, you know, we started out, I put 2x10s in it for floor joists and 2x10s for rafters. I replaced a 2x4 rafter and a 2x6 floor joist. So I've gained height in the sidewall that's just in the material we added to make it, what it takes to make it carry it.
Steve, I made some notes on your project, because I know you and I worked with you before, and I'm very confident in your work, but help me here and tell me where I'm right or wrong. And I think focus has really been on, you know, what has not been done. In other words, the fact that you didn't come in and get a permit when this thing happened. I mean, and again, you did go to the, you found significant issues with the old building, and you went to building inspector. Said, hey, I got a problem. And he was consulted, and he said, yeah, what you're doing is the right thing to do. And so you went ahead. And we can debate whether you should have come and got a permit or not, but that's history, so we won't go there. But when you got started, and I know you wanted to protect the building and the integrity of what you were doing there. You got a significant investment there. So you basically wrapped it. You got a stop work order on it, which was, I think, appropriate, and you came in. But you made the building safer by what you did. You also rehabilitated it, and you made it more usable for 21st century lifestyle. You know how people live today. You've done a number of rehabs. You've done work for me. I know what you can do. So you protected the building to save it. Well, major changes were made to the back of the building where there were issues. The front, near as I can tell, you have not changed the porch, correct?
Mm-mm.
You haven't changed the pillars on the porch. You've got the original windows still in the front.
Yes,
You're gonna keep those.
yes.
And the original door.
Yeah, I haven't even changed the eyebrow. The only thing I've changed is from their back. I haven't even changed that front portion at all.
So-
We haven't cut it, haven't done nothing. We butted it right into where it was at, left it right there.
How far does that house, the buildings on both sides sit right on the sidewalk? How far back from the sidewalk does this one sit? It sits a little ways back, I believe.
From the front?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess to the porch, probably 30 feet, 40
Yeah,
feet, something like that, I guess.
Okay. But you preserved what you could.
Yeah.
And you fixed what you had to fix. And to me, I've seen you work, that's how you work. And I think the structures around this building, you've got 1, 2, and 3-story buildings all around it. You've got a school across the street. You've got a commercial building on the one side. You've got a restaurant, we hope, on the other side. Some retail shops. And the different period structures have been modified over time. If you look at the one to the east of the building, with the old Crystal and Jewels, that was looked like a regular federal 2-story at some point, got added on. I think one part's got a flat roof, the other part's got a gable roof. I'd have to go back and take a look for sure, but I mean, you look back, it's got at least 3 additions in the back of it over the period of time. So these buildings have all been modified. You've got a school across the street that's 3 stories, and you got the trolley barn on the other side, on the west side. So you've got a real mixed use there. I think the thing that was most impressive for me with your project was you preserved the front facade, basically. And when people go by, they're gonna see that front facade. And they're also gonna see that chimney with those 2 crazy chimney pots on top, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to a lot of work and time and trouble to preserve those, and I'm impressed. I really am.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So, I'm for letting you continue. I mean, that's my attitude. I think you do it right. I think you've got a good sense if you, and if the board thinks that, you know, I don't wanna see the historic piece of this building destroyed, like the front. I think the front is important. The second story you put on, I think you'll do it right. I think you'll do it the right way. I guess for my concern right now is that we don't make significant changes like Owen said, and we lose a historic property, which I think you're absolutely right on. You don't want to lose a historic property. And I think by keeping the front facade, I'll yield to our preservation over there. Brooke, what are your thoughts? And Nicole, both of you. I mean, what are your thoughts? Will we lose by him continuing with what he's doing? Will we lose an historic structure, or will we gain a rehabilitated structure that was modified significantly during its life, and it's now been brought up to the code and safety standards of today?
You want me to?
Go ahead.
Quite honestly, in my opinion, if we look at national park standards and SOI, Secretary of Interior standards, as well as our own guidelines, while I'm not saying that these plans are a good compromise, it does majorly impact the historic integrity of the home.
What part does?
Well, frankly, the size, the massing and the size of the second story addition, if we look at, and I put these on here because several board members had asked me for clarification. So in our preservation brief 14 that is dedicated to additions, it talks about that rooftop addition should always be set back at least one full bay. Now, a full bay is from line to line or a vertical plane. So it varies for each home how far that is. But it says that it also should, the elevations, should not be extremely highly visible. And then it goes on to say that smaller scale buildings such as this one, it's a very tricky thing to add on an addition, especially a second story addition. Currently with the porch being untouched, I mean, that definitely retains its integrity. But in my opinion, the size and the massing of the addition as it sits now overbears the historic character. So that's it.
Nicole, you got anything to add to that?
I think the only thing I would add is the plan with the gable front. Can you go to that one? Nope, the next one. First one back. Yep. That one's probably the closest proposed plan amendment to the original. If you can keep the front portion of the porch. In the original plan, you would have seen more of the chimney than what's currently there. I know you've rebuilt it multiple times. But keeping that aspect, like what Mike said, the front gable, the porch, all the originals you have a chance of saving the integrity of the building. The second story is still gonna modify it slightly, but the more items you keep, the better chances we have.
And I don't think I think what Steve's doing here is not a brand new second story. In other words,
The chimney never was out of it ever. I mean, it was never out of the second story. It was never exposed to start with.
Right,
It
but
was
what
always
it
sticking
does
out the
do,
second story roof. It came up in the peak.
what it does do is it preserves the front of that house, keeping the massing at the back part of the house, which is one of our guidelines. I personally believe this is the best option. It's a good place to meet in the middle of the road, and it follows the guidelines to the T. It's not perfect, but it's still one of the better options that I think we have.
I think most.
So the only major construction issue with exposing the lower part of the chimney in this proposed plan 4, the only major obstacle from a construction standpoint is rebuilding the chimney.
Yeah, but the chimney's gonna, the
That's a
first
big
thing you're
deal.
gonna see when you pull up that house is the chimney sticking out. It's just odd. I'm telling you, it's gonna be odd as can be when you look at that.
You don't feel that's gonna look good.
Aesthetically, no. I'd be embarrassed to own such place. I mean, it's just a small chimney is gonna be sticking out of the first story and running all the way up to the second story, right in the middle of the house.
I get it.
That's the first thing you're gonna see when you pull up to the
I
house.
get it.
I just, it wasn't like that ever, and before I messed with it.
And the pitches don't match.
It was in the wall originally, and now we're wanting me to cut it and put it to the back and let the whole chimney be exposed. It never was like that,
Okay,
ever.
so go back to where it is currently, the current state.
The running it back, I'm cutting
So-
6 feet
so-
or 7
no,
off
that
the
right
roof that's there.
So this is the current state that it's in. And so from Owen, what I heard you say is you'd like to keep, sorry, you stare at me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. You wanna keep it, the front like that. You wanna keep that front. The front pitch is there,
Look at the
right?
front, if you just took off all of that second story and you just ran that front back, you'd see a tremendous amount of the chimney.
Well, I know it, but I'm just.
So you're thinking
I'm
about
more-
moving it back behind the chimney, right?
Yes,
Owen? Yeah.
yes.
Well, that's
That was
what-
Plan 4, I believe.
Plan 4.1, which would be to move that second story even farther back to let that chimney have some space between itself and the second story addition.
But if you don't move, I'm just saying, if you don't move, let's just say you don't move that back.
What
One
back?
of the top.
Okay.
The top addition, right? You don't move it back. The chimney's there, right? The chimney is there, it's obviously exposed up top with the two things, right? And one of the things I heard you say earlier is you wanna keep that front pitch,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
So it was exposed before, this was confusing me.
So, to me, he had proposal 3, which doesn't keep that front pitch, right? Which, you don't wanna see that, right?
Right.
So in essence then, keeping it like it is almost means some of what you're wanting, except for exposing the chimney completely lengthwise.
The chimney
And
would
it
be
will put
more
it-
exposed ever if
But
I ran it back in there. The
My-
chimney, honestly, if you ran that lower roof back till it meets the chimney, you would see it from the street
Right.
exactly like it was the day, a year ago.
Yeah.
It would look exactly like that, but it doesn't stick out of the roof and go up the front of the wall. All I'm saying is you bring the wall to the front. I don't care if we keep the 5.5, 12 pitch, leave it exactly what's there. I'll run it back into within the chimney. I just thought it would look as if we're gonna.
What are you
go that
gonna run
far.
back? Can you go, I'm sorry, I just need,
Okay.
I'm a visual person.
So, right now, you can't hardly, you're saying you can't hardly, right here, you
That's-
can't hardly see the chimney because this is probably 5 or 6 feet too far forward past the chimney now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave this where it's at, I'll run it all the way back like it was before. This is back against the chimney.
Run the
And
wall
there's no-
back, right?
Yes, run the whole wall back 6 or 7 feet. If you don't wanna change the roof pitch and wanna leave it 5/12, I don't care.
Yeah.
I personally thought it would look more nice, and there's just 3 feet here, is to raise this up and get rid of some of this sidewall to make it not look so big. Well, we can take this back to that chimney, just not, the whole chimney's not exposed on the outside of the house for leaks and everything else to run up that front of that wall. You're not gonna look into this house and see that chimney from the street, it's gonna be on the back side of the wall. This roof line will go back 5 or 6 feet more, it'll look like a camelback.
Why not have the chimney exposed as much as it was before?
Owen, go back to the other picture, it's only 3 feet. I'll put it up above that roof 3 feet if that's what you want.
That looks a lot, like a
But-
lot more than 3 feet.
But it's
to
all the
me.
way to the edge. This chimney is within a couple of feet of the edge of the roof, is why you see it now. That's exactly what I'm proposing to do right here, run it back into it. This now is here like this. It'll be identical to that. It's no problem to put that there. It's just, now, the roof, this is farther forward, you don't see it.
Problem with that though is if you do what you're saying, you're gonna lose that little window in the, right above the porch.
No, I don't think he's gonna mess with
Gonna put a
that.
new one in.
But it'll be right up against the brick of the chimney.
On,
No,
on
the roof
design
line,
plans.
this all right
That will
there.
stay, Tom.
It's there now. I'm not taking
Just
it
the
away,
roof
I'm
line.
just extending this roof line back till it gets to the chimney. I'll keep that 5.5, 12 inch, if that's what you want, I don't care.
So maybe, Rick,
Can we look
you
at
go to
number
plan-
3 again?
Well, go to plan
I
4
got it.
Yeah.
with the gable. So Steve, I'm gonna try to help you.
Okay.
Explain. So
Well, I'm terrible
what-
explainer here.
What he's proposing, and let me know if I'm wrong, is on this plan, bringing that second story in front of the chimney and enclosing it.
Exactly. This wall, this existing wall right here.
So the
will be
entire
right
front
here.
before the
It'll be just like
chimney
that.
would match what's what was
And,
there.
and there's what you'll see, you know, from the street, basically. Exactly the way it was before.
How is that exactly how it was before?
It's exactly how it was before.
The only thing is that the pitch of the front roof and the back roof aren't gonna match in that design.
Yeah, I was willing to make them match, spend the money and make them match is what I thought. It would look a
And
whole lot.
that was in design, really kinda like design 3. Proposal 3, where the
It-
roof pitch on the front part and the back section, they match, they're the same. So it'll look orthological when you're looking at it from the street.
Exactly. It's the chimney will stick out of that roof the same as it did the day down there before we ever touched it. It'll look exactly the same from the street.
I don't understand. I
It-
do not understand.
In this plan here, I mean, that's basically a pop-top. You're adding a whole second story, and that is not approved by our guidelines. Now, the other plan, you know, gets a little bit closer to the guidelines. The problem with that one is just massing.
Just doesn't
I'm
match.
cutting the houses, the
Massing.
building that's there now,
Matching.
I'm cutting off 6 or 7 feet to get back to that chimney.
Right,
And
right.
making it the same
said-
pitch as the front.
Yeah, I mean, all
I
of your
mean, we go,
proposed
we go,
plans,
we
I
go
think are.
anymore, and I'm done because I don't even need the second level. You know,
I was going
I
to
can't
say,
get
I
up
think all
there.
your proposed plans are great. I mean, I think they're good design. We just have to be very careful what we do down here to preserve the
And I
historic
understand
character of the
that.
original house. Anywhere else, and all of those plans would be great.
Yeah.
But I think this one gets the closest, and I understand, you know, the need to bring it in front of the chimney, but again, that creates an issue with the massing of the second story.
I
I don't think it does, because if that house doesn't sit on the street, and I think that's or sit on the sidewalk. I think the big difference is, most people drive by, and I'm not sure, you know, the facade of the front of the house is very important, there's no question about that. But the chimney, looking that way, is gonna be a stark difference to what it is sitting there right now. I mean, most people just see all I can remember is those chimney pots on top, I don't remember the brick going up. And the porch, the porch, the historic front on the porch to me was critical, and I think he's done that. And I like his compromise to bring the wall out in the front, I think that would work fine.
Which one are you talking about? Number 3?
Yeah, I mean, inside to make his second story, to get up to the second story,
Bring the wall.
the house is not very wide, and where they've already cut the access to get up there is not code either. I mean, we keep going back and back. I don't even need the second story because I can't get up there to it. You know, unless you had an extension ladder. I mean, to go straight up. There's an old existing wall where the house was been built on too. It's brick, you can't go through it, you know, to get a stairwell up through it. You know, it's been added on to 5 times. You know, I'm the soul here that gets to try to straighten it out before it rots down. Which maybe it'd been better off if I hadn't got this place.
And I think, Owen, where you're kind of confused on where the original, so on that addition there, where he started his wall right now, today, where that wall sits.
Which wall?
So upstairs, as you're looking towards Main Street, that wall there.
There's 2 walls.
Right, but what I'm talking about is you were saying he was trying to get it back to original, which is the 512 pitch, right there on the dormer.
Right.
That dormer set back, or that wall sits back on that dormer approximately 4 feet.
Right.
So he had never touched this, but what one of his proposals was to keep that 512 pitch and go back to the chimney, which is about 6 feet from that wall that's been built.
But in the original picture, both the peaks were together. Yes, see, the peak of the dormer and the peak of the, whatever you call it, the eyebrow, whatever's on the front there, those.
Yeah,
peaks-
it comes right off of it. It's back, believe it or not, that dormer is about 30, maybe 36 inches. That dormer is 36 inches back on that roof from the front of that cornice work that you're talking about. It comes out of the roof 36 inches back there. The chimney is right in there on that 4 foot, 5 foot area right there. It's sticking out right there. It looks like it from here that dormer came all the way to the front. It doesn't.
No, and I believe exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
And we went right straight up there is what we've done. Right where that dormer is right where this new wall is.
Yes, you went above it, so now the new peak is higher than the original peak there, which, there was only one peak. Now you've got two separate peaks of different heights.
Yes, because, I mean, if I hadn't have, when we went out to the outside wall to put the floor joists on, the roof would have been about 4 foot inside there. I mean, you couldn't have got through there. I couldn't put 2x10s in there and make this thing structurally
I
right.
understand that.
You know, I mean, I guess the case is I should have stopped once we got to that point and come down here and just ask to tear it down, I guess.
Right, so that's a separate question,
know.
is the usability, like you said,
Mhm.
to make it 21st century as usable as possible, you tear the whole damn thing down and put
Yeah,
up something else,
and we should
right?
have.
But
It would have been cheaper.
we don't wanna do that, right? We wanna maintain the historical character of this house as much as possible. And I'm sure that will impact the livability. I don't see any way around it. It's gonna be less square footage and less usable square footage than what you're building now. Adding a whole second story, of course, that's gonna be more livable.
Well, it already had, I mean, it basically already had one on one side. All I wanted to ever do was add one on the right. If you're looking at it, add the one to the right. That's when all the trouble began.
Right.
Is I wasn't the one that built the house. Whoever decided to build that dormer on there decided to put it out in the middle, 30 inches from the outside wall. I mean, it was already coming down in the roof.
Right,
It was
what's
already
up there
there.
now is so shockingly different than that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to explain, is that if you raise the front portion up, it's all kind of symmetrical and to me would look aesthetically pleasing. And like I said, we're willing to do it either way. I mean,
See, so that front part that has the gingerbread on it,
Mhm.
you just push that roof line back. It would, then the amount of chimney that is exposed in that photograph would be exactly the same, is my point. That would not change.
well, it'd be about 3 more feet of than what you see, you're gonna see from the street of that chimney.
What,
Because
you
the
just make the
top-
whole thing taller?
Yeah, because the whole thing's taller. I mean,
Okay.
you're gonna see, that's where I'm getting at. You're gonna see, when you first drive up to this house now, you see how much is sticking out now.
Yeah.
And you imagine, this is another 36 inches or so taller. You're gonna see about 13 feet of chimney sticking out of this roof right now, running up the backside of another wall. All I ask, or am asking, is to come to the front of this, build that wall across there. I'll either leave this 5.5, 12 like it is and run it back in till it touches that chimney. All I wanna do is slide in front of that party, so that you don't see so much of this chimney sticking out in front of that house.
Well, tear down part of the chimney if you don't like it. You think
Well, I'd
it's
just tear it all down.
But I think it.
It'd be a lot cheaper for me.
It looks good, I think. You seem to think, we're just talking about taste here, of course, which is.
Well, it sounds like your taste too, I mean.
Well, I think the other thing we're talking about too is that house looks very quaint and very nice sitting there, but how long is it gonna be sitting there with, construction that's not up to current code? And it's obviously needed a lot of help, because I've been in these houses and.
Well, right now, while we're waiting, the whole backside starting, the floor's rotting out of it from where we're at a standstill. I mean, I got Tyvek over it, but
Yeah.
there's an addition that somebody else has added on the right-hand side, doesn't have a roof on it, because I don't know what we're doing. You know, I've dealt with this thing for about a year, and honestly, I'm getting about tired fooling with it. You know, I mean, it's become a pain. Like I said, I want to do things nice, and we've done a lot of stuff here in Madison. I probably got as much money invested here as anybody. And you can drive around all my stuff. It's as nice as can be. You know, I don't mind owning nice property. I like it. We got people ready to move into this. You know, older couples that want to move here, that's waiting on one of this to be done. I can't even tell them when we're even going to be close. Because I don't know where we're at. I've been fooling with this for a year.
So I think, we've had a lot of conversation with this, but the thing will be is we gotta hone in on what design that we would be looking at, Steve.
I understand.
So we'll have to at least, we'll have to initially, eventually hone in on something that, you want the board to actually, assess and then eventually vote on. So, I think you have come up with another design really by keeping the front the way it is, move the back to where the chimney is, right? That's another design that you have actually come up with that you want the board to consider here. But for the board, we're gonna have, we have to decide which design that we are going to consider. We can't actually do all of them. We can't consider all of them. That wouldn't be the right way to go either. So with that, I'm gonna go to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak, for or against this project? Okay, hearing none. At this point, we will have to go to a findings of fact. Again, would be good to know a design that we are going to do findings of fact with. So Steve, you are the applicant. You have to tell me what design that you want us to do findings of fact on. What would you like us to do? 2, 3, 4, or your new proposal?
Well, I mean, it sounds like, and like I say, I would be willing, I mean, Owen's kind of, if I'm understanding this right, he would like to keep, some of y'all would like to keep the 5.5, 12 pitch. You don't care if it doesn't match the upper. I mean, I'm trying to meet somebody here in the middle. I know I got 3 or 4 options here, but that's why I was hoping to hash them out. If I've got to pick one,
yeah,
I would just assume it'd be the 312. I think it was number 3.
So you want us to vote on proposed plan number 3?
That
Or not vote, but at least go through our findings,
Yeah.
then we'll vote. Okay.
Yeah, or like I said, I can do the 5.5 and leave the front the way it is and extend it back. I'm kind of torn here on who, what's meets or helps the historic part of it.
Well, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you what these guys will do, but what, or what the board will do. I can only tell you that, I need you to tell me which one you want to do.
Then we'll to keep the front facade.
Okay,
We'll
so
leave
keep it.
We'll keep it. Run it 5.5, 12 back, just
Okay.
like it is now. Back into the chimney, exactly like
And
this.
then the back will look like you have in that design, right there.
Yeah, it'll look exactly like that design,
Okay.
except
This
for
design, not for.
So in essence, what he's doing is that that second tier, Tom,
Yeah,
will stay. The facade's gonna stay the pitch that the house currently has right now. He's not gonna change to that pitch. He's gonna keep it
the way it is
pitch
right
it is now. And he's gonna run that back to the back where it is on that plan right there. So that roof line will actually run back further.
Hey, Josh?
so are you
Is
saying
this-
that
is that a drawing
second step
we're
up
talking about right
is currently
Right.
what's on the
Yeah.
house?
Yeah.
Because that doesn't
And that's,
look anything like what's
and
on
that's
the house.
actually the easiest for me.
Take that front and take it back to the front to the pitch that is on there now. It's the same pitch.
Take it back to the front of the chimney.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so basically can you go to, was that number 4?
Yeah, go to 4.
So basically it's that, except the wall on the second story is in front of the
Exactly.
chimney.
Yes,
Okay.
that's I'm willing to do that.
Okay,
That's the one we'd like to go with, number 5.
that's what
we
I
don't
thought,
have.
yeah.
So now number 5, yeah. in essence. Okay, that's what he wants to go with. So, Owen, given now you know what he's you know what he's asking for. Would you go through the findings of fact, please?
Well, I mean, all of these proposals are violating, I don't even know why we need to go through them, what additions should be located at the rear. Okay, this will be a little bit better because previously, or the way it's sitting now, the addition goes all the way from the rear to the front. Okay, addition should be secondary, smaller and simpler, but again, the additions on there now is the same size as the whole first floor, so that violates it. And should be a compatible design, compatible in keeping with the original building design, which is not roof shape, it's not, the slope is different. So I'd say no. Okay, number 4. Well, that doesn't really apply. Characteristics of the current period, but compatible, well, I don't know if that even applies either. Additions should keep the exterior walls of the original building as intact as possible. Well, that, perhaps the exterior walls hadn't changed because of structural issues that were mentioned. So, basically, no. Okay, so does not fit with the guidelines, but we all can do that.
Jerry?
I really can't differ a lot with what Owen said. I'd like to listen to others' interpretations of the finding of fact. That's where I would be right now.
Tom?
I agree with Owen for the same reasons.
Jerome?
I agree with Owen for the same reasons.
Mike?
I don't agree. I think the new construction, the guidelines don't take into account, I think, some of the structural issues that Steve ran into with this project. I appreciate the fact he did contact the building inspector before he started in to make changes. Unfortunately, there was some kind of miscommunication. He didn't get in here, and we didn't get a chance to brief us before he got started, and it unfortunately it's caused a major delay, major cost for him. And I feel bad about that. I think that he is agreeing to keep the facade, which I think is a very important part of the building, and the chimney. And I think this changes he makes shows the new additions will be distinctive as we ask for the new additions to be. So I think it does meet the findings of fact.
And I would say that the number 3 addition should be a compatible design. I think you tried to keep it with the compatible design of the original building's design. It didn't have, a great, there really wasn't a great dorm, on that dorm on that one side. You tried to keep the shape of that roof as much as possible. If we go to can you go to the next one? If we go to number 5, the recommended approach is for additions to reflect characteristics of the current period. And your addition actually does reflect of the current period. You're willing to keep the old part of the roof line, is what you said, to go back. So I think you are keeping the historic part of the front. You have changed, certainly, the addition, which the board did approve you to have the addition that was on the other side. And it's supposed to actually reflect a characteristic of a current period. So you've done that. But you're also keeping the historic from the front, when I say the porch, and then the next level. So I do believe you are keeping with the old and with the new constructions, meeting the new construction addition. So with that,
we'll go to a vote. I haven't weighed in a whole lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Intentionally, because I wanted the board to have a good discussion on it. As far as thinking ahead, I don't know which way the board's gonna go, frankly. Concerns that go beyond just the guidelines and things like that is there are situations that happen during construction that I think all of you have run into in projects, and this didn't go perfectly. I think Steve would admit that. From a construction perspective, from a communication perspective, I think everybody's spent a significant amount of time on this project. This board, the staff, Steve has spent a significant amount of time trying to come up with proposed solutions. I think it's important for this board to consider those things also. If we were to play worst case scenario and the city has to litigate this worst case scenario, or or Steve wants to litigate this, if this doesn't go the way we want. Frankly, our firm won't be involved. I'm candidly saying that I would have a conflict in this representation of the board and of Steve. And it would just be a very costly and I think unnecessary endeavor by both the board, the city, and by Steve. I think a resolution in this, at this level, would show respect from Steve to the board, and respect from the board to Steve, and from the city. I hope that when you all make your consideration, that's in there. I think that everybody's attention has been heightened, and I think there is a consideration moving forward. And I think coming in with proposals to find solutions to meet our guidelines is huge. There's countless people that don't even come before the board. So I think it shows a lot of respect to the board that he's even here trying to find those solutions. And kudos to the staff and everybody for doing the drawings and all the time. So that's my little bit of 2 cents. But.
Thanks, Deb. So with that, I will entertain a motion. So I will make the motion then, since I'm not hearing any other. So I will make the motion for the board to approve the COA for 715 West Main Street for the applicant to, at this point in time, move the upper addition back to the chimney as is proposed, keeping the second tier roof line separate of the porch the same as it is, that goes back to that upper level that meets up with the chimney, as per the design he has stated tonight.
I'll second.
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approved.
Thomas Stark,
This is a tough one. I do not approve.
Owen McCall,
Do not approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approved.
Mike Pittman.
Approved.
Oh, sorry. All right, so Steve, you will get your COA in the mail. You are approved.
Okay.
Of course, you have to follow all the building codes and make sure you got your building permit. I'm sure you do, but you can now
Okay.
continue work
All right.
on the building as the COA now is.
Thank you all. I'm sorry it's been such a troubling.
We appreciate everything you've done here, Steve, to try to come to a compromise.
All right.
Thank you,
all.
Steve.
All right, so with no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Is there a motion?
I'll move we adjourn.
I'll second.
I think we need a group hug though.
No, I actually, I'm not sure.
They need a group hug.
I know.
You guys have a good night.
You too.
See ya.
Thanks, Devin.